And I wish we had a better match, a better result to tackle on a Monday. Unfortunately, we have our kryptonite, the mighty Monza, and them sweeping Juventus this season. What the hell is going? Hold on a sec. I have to pinch myself and actually wake up. We're not actually talking about this going down, are we?
Again.
Yeah. Again, we've gone
Again.
full circle, everybody. We have gone full circle. So all the turmoil and the boiling point was earlier in the season when we suffered defeat to Monza, and here we all full circle. A few weeks ago, we were thinking about potentially flipping Serie A on its head and having a battle with Napoli. We get smashed. Then all of a sudden, you get a point deduction, and now we lose to Monza again, and we have gone full circle, everybody. There's a lot to discuss today. We got a full panel, too. We got myself, we got Omer, we got Luca, and we got Lex, and this is going to be a lot to tackle here. We're going to get to the news first. Then we're going to get into the game recap and highlights and whatnot and all the stories in the aftermath of it. We are going to say what's up quick to everybody in the live chat. But first, we got some housekeeping and we're going to get rid of that. Everybody tuning in on your audio outlets, get over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. That's where a lot of the extras and magic happen, especially like our Romeo Agresti live interviews and whatnot. You're going to get the benefits of that on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. Now, let's say what's up to everybody in live chat. Let's see what everybody's kind of got going on here. We got Jeremiah saying, hey guys, to be honest, we were very poor in almost every aspect of the game. The streak was just that, a lucky streak. 2 years in, Max has completely failed. Leadership on and off the field is non-existent. Okay, I'm sure we're going to tackle all of that in today's shows. Bob saying, ciao guys, thanks for the gather and breakdowns faithfully. Fino alla fine. Hey, no matter what, thick and thin, we ride it out and we see what goes down. Hello, all Juventus. Yesterday's game hurts, but let's see what's going to happen at the end of the season. Let's hope things turn around in favor of Juventus infield and outside the field. Let's see. Michael Razzo, Forza Juve. No matter what. Let's get into this. All right. So, news. We're going to tackle some of the news real quick. So, McKennie has completed his physical for Leeds. Right now it sits at the loan. And then, of course, there's option to purchase. Now, there is criteria. We don't know the exact details, but there is criteria that could make it an obligation to purchase. You would have to think that that's just relegation. We talked about that on the Match Day Live yesterday. This could be a total of 40 million euros if the deal gets finalized, though, which would be a big coup for Juventus. Other news, Milik. We've been hearing 2 to 3 weeks out. We've been also hearing, I saw 5 to 6. So split the difference and called about a month out with Milik now. All right. So, yeah, he's the latest to fall victim to injury for Juventus. Today, we were supposed to get the reasoning for the verdict and the penalty for Juventus. We did receive that from the FIGC official site, and it is nothing. It is literally a summary of what's taken place and what's happened, no actual reasoning. So we continue to wait. The club does have to get the reasoning, though. So whatever they put out right now, they haven't. But the club being penalized has to have that reason. And there's still this rumor. I don't know if anybody's saw it or whatnot, but I did post on my daily update videos and spoke about it that there's rumors that there's certain documents that have been kept away. Juve's lawyers are pressing for it because it could actually flip the script and would have a lot of the documents that they were basically prosecuted with ruled as invalid. We're still waiting for details. It is what it is. Now, guys, Milik out. Anything to touch on with the news there? I mean, when it rains, it pours. There's really nothing, no bright spots in there. The McKennie deal, potentially 40 million would be big in terms of the Plus Valenza. But anything to touch on there, Omer?
No, just Dushan is back, so just traded one striker for another.
Yeah. I'm going to get into a midfielder that we had back yesterday that for some reason couldn't have helped. Okay.
Oh, boy.
We're going to get to that, and I'll talk about that when we break down the game. But, yeah, and as far as the news, Juventini, still waiting. Now, Anthony's working on the details. He says the details are out, but he's got to get some time to read that novel. Still waiting. Let's wait for the breakdowns, and it'll probably come while we go live. Let's get to this game. Juve and Monza. Starting lineup. Szczesny in goal. Gatti, Bremer, Danilo. In the middle, Deschilio, Fagioli, Paredes, Rabiot, Kostic, Di Maria, and Keane. Let's go back to before the actual match was starting and how you felt about the starting lineups. Because I'm going to be quite honest with you. My one question mark was Deschilio getting in there immediately after being out for so long. But if you look at who else are you going to play there and whatnot, are you going to change the setup potentially or whatnot? But overall, let's be serious with who we're facing and whatnot. That lineup should be enough to do a much better job than what we saw it play out. But how did you guys feel? We heard from, let's get Luca here and then Lex on starting lineups.
I mean, let's be realistic. Going into it, you're thinking this should be a simple one, right? We've done this before, been there, we've done that. We've beaten Monza with, I'm not going to say minimal effort, but with a younger squad. We've seen this. This isn't the first time. That said, my only argument is why not, again, use those younger players? You know, like everyone's saying, oh, we've got Lazio in a few days. Fine. More than fine. We know that Lazio coming up is not going to be a cakewalk. Rest some guys, fine. Play the younger guys who were effective last game. Why are we forcing guys back? Example, Deschilio. Like, we haven't seen this guy in half a year. And now he's starting in games that Allegri is calling, you know, win or bust. Like, if these games are so important and detrimental to our standings, why are you tossing a guy who hasn't played in half a year to play 90 minutes? That's my only argument. I mean, the rest of the lineup, it's not great. I don't want to see Paredes in there anymore. I don't want to see Kostic as a left wing back. But hey, it should get the job done. We're not going to beat around the bush. These players should beat Monza. That's my thought before the game.
Lex, what was your thoughts on that starting lineup?
Pretty much the same as you both. The question about Deschilio, where it's like this guy was just MIA for the last 5 months, and then all of a sudden reappears in our starting 11, and he was caught sleeping on that first offside goal as well. And then I would think, like, I was a little bit confused about Paredes starting over Locatelli, but I mean, that could have been a resting thing for the Lazio game, possibly. I think, like, the midfield, which I think we expected, was off balance. I like Locatelli and Fagioli playing together, so I think that they complement each other really well. So that's kind of where my question was. But like you both said, no excuse. It's Monza. Should be able to still get the job done.
Yeah. Omer, do you have anything to add? I think Lex and Luca pretty much summarized it perfectly. There's not a whole bunch to say. I mean, everybody's in shock that a guy that comes back, you know, and we're working with these other guys, these other impact players. And they're, you know, you're trying to get them in, you're trying to move them back in. And then it's like the second Deschilio's available, he's in there full go. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I don't
what's going on here? What am I missing? Because to be honest with you, I would have even dealt with some of the defensive struggles of Sule and played him out there
100%.
over that, because at least he's been in there and he's been rotating in and out. But like, we've been easing, you know, Chiesa in for a bit. Obviously, has some muscle fatigue, and there was talks about potentially a calf problem or a flexor problem. There's a lot of rumors going around, but he should be okay for Lazio Coppa Italia. But you're easing him back in. You were easing Di Maria earlier on and whatnot, and then all of a sudden Deschilio, as if he is the guy. It's like, boom, in there. What the fuck? Anyways.
No.
Yeah, we complained about McKennie out on that right wing for so long, but it's like, I'd rather have McKennie than Deschilio.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't that some shit? Your team has to make a sale. McKennie is like, okay, he's prime candidate for the sale. And then yesterday, you know what? You probably could have used him, but that's life for Juventus right now. Let's get to the highlights. 9th minute in, and Monza's just working on us, and I'm surprised at how quickly we're sitting back so deep, and just this lack of desire to go and get that ball and get in control of that ball. Anyways, 9 minute in, Caprari ends up cutting in because, again, you're allowed time. So Pessina's allowed time to turn, face our area, and Deschilio is half caught between two minds, like he was all game. A day late, a buck short. He doesn't know if he's going to attack Pessina. He's sitting back, and then all of a sudden, Gatti's trying to come back from the central. Well, he's looking at Pessina, who's on the ball. And as he's doing that, out of his peripheral, Caprari actually cuts in. So as the ball comes in, Gatti's not even aware, and he's beat too easily as well. You just ugly from that right side in general. Let's put it at that. Gatti and DeCilio and whatnot. Caprari cuts in, beats Tech short side. Luckily, we're saved by an offside. And okay, good. Warning shot fired. Wake up. Now, 17th minute. Shambles again. Low amount of pressure. Makin's able to simply, again, face our area. Have all the time in the world to make a decision. In that time, Churia makes his run. Kostic, hey, just in case you didn't notice, you are now the left back and the last line of defense on that move. And he allows Churia to just make that through run. And yeah, that's your mark. And he's in there free and clear, and he beats Szczesny. We're 1-0 down. This is an absolute mess at the back and starting for Juventus, and a complete lack of pressure from Juve. The fact we dropped back so hard, like the way this game started, I was just losing my mind on the watch along that we actually started this poorly. And you're hoping we can kick things up and ramp things up. Let's get to halftime, everybody, because there's really not much else to talk about except for the 38th minute. And this is going to shine a light on some of the topics we're going to tackle after the game and problems I have. I have a problem with how we use our players. Now, we say that there's going to be a lack of direction offensively, yet some of the things we see, that's not true. And it is from direction. One of them is how we use our mezzalas and our side midfielders. Fagioli on this play, he is completely out of position, but it's by design because Di Maria gets the ball out on the flank. Fagioli immediately starts to make that run. This is so broken, it's not even funny, okay? In theory, if you have Di Maria, who's supposed to play ahead of your midfielders and supporting that striker, those two are the ones that are supposed to be making runs. And if you are going to send midfielders, it needs to be after those players create the space. In turn, what do? We have Di Maria on the ball receiving it, and then we send a midfielder. Like just to try and do what? Because the space hasn't even been created. Keane hasn't even made a move there to try and open anything up for Fagioli. We're just sending him for the sake of getting forward to take that defender out of space. Maybe Di Maria will cut in. Well, guess what? Di Maria takes a lazy touch. He loses the ball. Fagioli now cannot help us defensively because he's completely out of the picture. Rabiot lunges in. He's done. Paredes watches this. Runs at a leisurely pace until he gets just close enough to disrupt Bremer, and then Bremer gets caught between two minds. And you know what? The rest is boom. We send a pass into Mota. Mota's free and clear, beats Szczesny, and you're 2-0 down. And here we are at halftime. My God, what a shit show. Guys, halftime. Let's take us through these highlights and whatnot, your thoughts, feelings, what you're noticing. I just noticed there's, from the structure and the way we want to play is ass backwards, but the lack of pressure killed me. Omer.
Too easy, isn't it? Just too easy. Like I'm watching the game, and if I am coaching some mediocre team against Juve right now, I know exactly what to do to, first of all, nullify them and then create chances.
Yep.
The spaces between the departments on the field are too big. Every time someone takes the ball, he has miles to run all the way to the box with no one intercepting him. And if someone does, like we've seen in the second goal, he's out of position. Bremer had to come out because Paredes wasn't even trying to stop the guy running. So he's out. So Gatti thought he continued. Then Bremer wasn't there. Danilo is God knows where. All of that is a domino effect because you decided to play DeCilio. Then you have to move Danilo to the left while Rugani is on the bench. Sandro, who is not good but more comfortable on the left, is on the bench. Everything is just a mess. We can't get out of press. We don't rush to press ourselves. So we made it kind of easy. We just let them control, do whatever they want. They got their lead, and that's it. They can sit back. So you can't even bank on creating more chances through just counterattacks or regular play because Monza have nothing to lose. They're 2 goals up. They can sit back and defend. And watching Juve play, they're not going to get the chances. Mostly shots from outside the area and banking on crosses and set pieces. That's our system right now. It's a lot. It's like a lot of things. It's nothing new. It's nothing that we've seen only in this match. I hate January, man. Just hate January. What an awful month.
Yeah. So Omer's, it's too easy. He says too easy. And Nick adding that no structure. Teams just cut through us so easily. Lex, let's get your thoughts at halftime here. This one.
No, I mean, it's true. That last comment from Nick, it's like we sit back. Like you said, we're not running at least that entire first half. We didn't run a solid press. We're welcoming that pressure from the opposing team. And then we're getting diced up at the back. Like we're inviting pressure on a back line of Deschilio, Bremer, Danilo, and I guess Kostic, if you want to include them in there. But it's like, why are we inviting pressure on that back line? And I mean, like all of the goals, they cut through us. Like they were nice goals, good plays. So I mean, just disappointed at halftime, just sitting there. And like Omer mentioned, it's not stuff that we haven't seen already. It's just more of the same pretty much, but just with a lack of fight or will from the team, and it just really doubled down and made it worse that half.
Yeah. Luca, anything to add with these halftime?
My comments are going to be more well placed at the end of our recap because it ties in really to what Allegri says at the end of the game. But I mean, first half, you said it well. It was pitiful to watch. We've seen a lot of shit games in the last 3-4 years. This one ranks very high up there as one of the worst.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it could be worse than the first Monza game, but
exactly. That's what I thought of. I'm like, I guess not.
Max the thing that I think frustrates me most and really gets me fired up is that everything is broken now. Like even the defensive solidity that we found at one point is gone. Like now that's gone completely. We're leaking goals like worse than ever. And that's the scary part is that now and we're going to get to this after the game. We have a bit more in the second half to bear. And then we're going to get to all these other storylines. But one is now the time to change setup and look for a new direction because what we had that was kind of going one way is it completely broken. We'll talk about that last second minute highlights. So he does try to spark change. You have Milik coming in for Keane at halftime. Keane with a bad showing. Bad showing.
Awful.
But he was not the only one. Bad showing there for Keane. Sule coming in for Fagioli. Locatelli coming in for Paredes. And to be honest, might be harsh. Some might call me reactionary, but I'm telling you, and I said it from the time he hit that one pass to Chiesa, that one pass doesn't convince me. Okay. And everybody said, okay, now Paredes is going to get into this and whatnot. No. And people were trying to sell me on that. People were trying to say the same people that were saying at the start, Paredes is going to make us forget about Locatelli. Don't ever dog my guy Locatelli like that again, because that is an absolute shame. Okay. It's an absolute shame. Paredes has shown us little to nothing. In my opinion, you could send him back to PSG right now, and this team sits in the same spot with or without him. He has done nothing. And the lack of this guy is one of the laziest players I've ever seen. That goal where he goes in there and literally runs side by side until they make that pass to inside to Mota. He goes back. Watch the video. He literally barely tracks back to try and get that player. He gets close enough where he can make an impact, but stops, and it's just enough to throw Bremer off. It's infuriating. Yeah, this guy pisses me off.
You taped it.
Yeah, I clipped it and marked him in a circle so you can see what he's doing. Any other Juve midfielder, from the past would have taken the guy out.
Tell me Locatelli doesn't engage and go right at that ball carrier when he gets that close.
He would have broken his legs.
Engage, taking the yellow, no problem with 100%.
Yep.
That is what kills me like I said, you can win, you can lose, whatever happens in the games happens. But when you don't even try or put the effort or the determination isn't there, I'm sorry. See you later. That guy
I'm
should
so
not see
happy.
starting minutes. And I don't care if we played Locatelli a ton years prior when we didn't have enough rotation. Go back to the same thing. Whatever. It's
And what's the
infuriating out of that
worst?
guy. I
And
had to
what's
say
the
my
worst?
piece on that because that should never be even. It's nowhere near the standard at Juve and should never be. So we get to those changes, trying to spark things up. Hey, what do? All of a sudden, we're pressing. All of a sudden, we're pressing. Hey, imagine that. Imagine us asking questions of Monza defensively while we're putting pressure on. Locatelli in the 61st minute has a great hit and literally inches higher, and that thing is out of Di Gregorio's reach, but he makes a big save on Locatelli. 64th minute, Milik cutting inside to the front of the area, has a great shot from a great spot, but too close to the center of goal, easily handled by Di Gregorio. We get a rebound there, crossed in, and then all of a sudden falls to Di Maria. He slashes at this thing on the volley. It's blocked out. A lot of pressure from Juventus, unfortunately not falling for us. 74th minute, Di Maria with a long range strike, again, inches higher, but Di Gregorio making a big save. He saw that one late too, because there was a
save and a beautiful
mess
shot.
of people in front of him. Big save there. 77th minute, set piece. Milik flicks onto Rabiot and Di Gregorio again. Money on the spot coming out quickly, and Rabiot can't get that through. We see it in on the rebound after, but Bremer's offside, unfortunately. Hey, it ends there, guys. Like, this is what, now that we get into the game recap, this is what's infuriating and why I can't get behind what Allegri's plan is because in the second half you saw what this team can do, what they can actually create and put pressure, and how that's the way to properly play the game. And what happened? We still couldn't find one. So if you want to approach games and you want to go in pressers and you want to say these are all must-win games, especially due to the situation, losing minus 15 points and whatnot, you want to go into the games and not play properly until you're in adverse situations. That is backwards. We went out hard in the second half, played proper football, and still couldn't find a goal. So you could still play in that manner and not get the job done. So to sit back and allow another team to create and do what they need to do is nonsense to me, because even when you do things right, it may not fall for you. And we hit a point in this game, second half, where you could see Di Gregorio made the saves he needed to. We couldn't find one. We put so much pressure, and then the guys got gassed, and that was it. You can't play an entire match like that, but you definitely, one thing that tells me is that when we abandon what we knew or what Max's game plan was, it ended up being better for us. You got to send the house. You got to get more involved. Props from me, and we'll get to man of the match, but props to Sule and Locatelli, because they had a massive, massive impact that second half in trying to spark the change. It did not happen, unfortunately, but I give those guys massive props because they were a big, big help. And honestly, it helped Gatti, because in the second half, he looked like a different guy.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was even with Sule there. Max tried doing a 3-4-3 in that second half. He tried doing a 4-4-2. He tried other things too, but abandoning what we thought we knew actually worked out a little bit better, because the flanks were dead in this one. Paul Pogba, should he have seen the pitch and stuff? Let's get to all these full game recaps, and let's get into you guys. So who wants to kick us off on their full game recap? Luca, go ahead. Omer?
Yeah, why not? Just more of the same. Like, I've said it at halftime, and I've said it in the end. There's a structure. The basic structure is non-existent. I just looked at Monza, and every time someone has the ball, even if he's caught, near the byline or near the corner flag, other guys come in and offer help. And I just look at the way we play. No one is helping anyone. No one is opening passing lanes, and everyone is just trying to run out themselves. It's just horrendous to watch. Now, you brought in the young guys. they did far better than the guys who played. But I can't count on that because every time someone does something good, they get benched the next game. So it it always
That's
happens.
so
And at
accurate.
halftime, you take out Fajoli. I told you at the match day live, keep an eye on Rabiot. He's having a dip. He's not the same guy he
Playing
was. And
terrible right now.
yeah, and he had
Terrible.
an awful match yesterday.
But he
So
took
did
out Fajoli.
Kostic.
So did
Yeah, but
Kostic.
Fajoli was the one who went out.
Yeah,
The Shilio,
stayed
what the
on.
hell? Yeah,
He stayed on until the 75th. Dusan came in around 75.
I,
Right?
I was just watching the match, and I'm like, what are we trying to do? Everything is coincidental. Nothing is planned. Nothing is training ground routines. We just and I tweeted during the match that Monza, who replaced their entire roster basically in the summer, and the manager mid-season, and they look a rookie manager, by the way, and they look far more organized and know what to do. And the worst thing is that you watch Paredes and then you see Rovella and how well he plays and performs that same role. And like he was our guy, we replaced this one for this one. Why? Why? Please, someone besides Allegri, give me an honest answer, something that makes sense, and I'll accept it. But
Better
no
looking.
reason.
Yeah.
7 million for one pass to Chiesa. That's his, contribution to Juventus right now.
Yeah.
I
Omar,
was furious. I had to cut off. I told my wife I would want to do anything besides talk about football, watch football. I couldn't even turn on FIFA. I was
at
so
least
angry.
at least where you are, Omar, it's an acceptable time frame for during the day to have a beer. I mean, it's 6 a.m. for me, and I'm on a watch along, and I kind of want
Starts
some
off his morning
alcohol to kind
terribly.
of ease the pain. So at least there,
Yeah,
it's
a great
acceptable.
day to call in sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Is our
Oh,
AJC mascot behind you there, Omar, playing with a chew toy there? Is the dog there
Is that a
behind
toy
you?
or a bird? I heard something like a bird.
I don't know. Levick?
I heard a bird.
No, I think
No?
he's
Okay.
sleeping.
So that's a great recap. It's kind of sums up exactly how we're feeling and everything. But we're gonna get Lexa and Luca their recaps here, and then we're gonna get to the topics we're gonna hit after, and then of course Storm the Barn. I'm sure is gonna be lit today. So Lex, why don't you kick us off with your kind of overall view on everything?
Well, first off, well said by Omar. I agreed with everything. And shout out to Palladino. I mean, credit to him for having a well-structured game, well-structured team. All of those goals were organized goals. So credit to him for that. We were outplayed, outcoached. And just similar frustrations, just still that disorganization within the team itself, within our play. There's kind of an uncertainty about what exactly we're trying to do on the field, which I think has been the question for all Juventini most of this season, pretty much. And just once again, I think that system, we'll talk about this more after the match, but that 3-5-2, I think either we've been figured out, and I think we need to try to push towards something different, something new. I know we're trying to hide that fullback issue, but I think it might be time to switch back to a back four of some sort. So we'll touch on that more after, of course. But once again, just frustrating game, more of the same. And I'd like to see us play more on the front foot. I don't know why it took us till the 73rd minute to start pressing. And as Al mentioned, you could see that we did have our best chances came from when we started pressing and when we put Locatelli on. I don't know why we took Fajoli off. I don't know why they can't play together. And once again, I think our midfield that we've been searching for was already there before we sent Rovella away. So I'm hoping once he returns next season, we'll make use of him.
Yeah, Luca.
Right. So to build off what I said at halftime recap, my frustration, and obviously the players are far from innocent in all this. We saw Paredes walking. We saw Di Sciglio having a brain fart for 90 minutes. We saw Kostic just not looking comfortable. Rabiot was walking. My frustration is primarily with the coach and the system. We heard at the end of the game, Allegri say that at halftime he switched to a more attacking strategy, which tells you that he went into this game with a defending mentality. His idea was to defend and then maybe in the end rely on the magic of Pogba or Vlahovic to win the game. That is what frustrates me. We've played Monza twice already. They killed us the first time, and it was a very similar lineup to today. We had Paredes starting in the middle. that time we lost to them. But the time we actually beat them was with our next gen literally starting the game. What I don't understand is how Max can look back at the tapes from those games or any other Monza game played this season and think, yes, defending against these guys is going to win us the game. Let's start out in a defensive shell. And then he goes and admit that he did that and says, okay, I made the mistake. But why do you do it then? You saw in the past, it didn't work in the first game. Clearly the second game we attacked them. We put the pressure. It wasn't, I remember the Copa game a week or two ago wasn't beautiful because it was still next gen, we were young kids. It wasn't a perfect game, but we attacked them. We put the pressure. It was definitely more, I'm going to say thrilling, and there was a lot more chances for Juventus as a team to score. And then I look at this game and I'm like, okay, yeah, we had our chances in the second half, but what goes through the coach's mind when he thinks this didn't work in the past? Let me do it again. Let's defend again. Let's see if we can hold this time. And it's not even your best starting lineup.
There's a lot of question marks. Like I said, I mean, even just looking positionally and how we are using the players, the roles that they're asked to fill, like you don't have a 3-5-1-1 setup and then play your one that's supposed to be this attacking mid helping them and just stick them to a flank. Like you don't do that. You don't send midfielders to try and create the space. You send midfielders to attack space that's already been created. All that is backwards. And we know that. And all of us can see it on the pitch. But there's more problems. When you have a game like that, I ask even more questions. Like, number one, this is multiple times this season where we've had a week between matches and come out flat. Absolutely fucking flat. And that is completely unacceptable. So this is a criticism I have of Max as well. Because, and the players are, of course, they're involved in that too, because it's them out there on the pitch. But if you're picking guys and they're supposed to come in on rotation, this is where Max is screwed. And I kind of feel for him because you're putting some of these guys in as rotational pieces and they're not even ready to go. Okay. So it's bad on Max because, you know, you're picking these guys and they've had a week between. Number two, what are we doing in training? What are we doing in training on multiple aspects? Number one, you see those rondo drills and then you watch Juve do it and it's a shit show. It's like, what are we doing? We can't do in close touch passes and anything like that. And you see it in game, but that's just one drill. That's funny. But in training, what are we doing that these guys have a week between games and they look as if they're gassed from the outset and have no fight, no drive, no energy? Like, what is going on? Now, I'm going to bring up Dell's comment here because I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, Dells. Okay? Bragging on Paredes being pointless, the fact that he's a world champion, played for top teams. No, it isn't pointless. It is not pointless. And the reason is because that is the bare minimum. You're talking about a bigger problem at Juve, and that is the standard that has faded. That should not be turned aside simply because he's part of an Argentinian side that won the World Cup.
Didn't even start.
Even if he played very little, that's besides the point. The fact is we're talking about Juventus. We're not talking about the other sides that he's played a part of and whatnot. We're talking about him taking the pitch for Juventus and treating it like Club Med, okay? And like he's on this type of vacation because the effort has been piss poor. And that is not on Allegri. That is not on his tactics. It is not on direction. Simple effort and energy is players as well. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with that one. Dells, Luca, you can add on this quick before we move on.
Two things. One, yes, he won a World Cup, but he was benched by a 21-year-old or 22. I don't know how old Enzo Fernandez is. Benched by that. Two, at PSG, they never won a Champions League. And if you tell me the French League Cup is worth something, we're going to have a separate argument on a separate channel outside this because shit, that is worth. I want
to keep it to Juve. Let's keep it to Juve. Like, Paredes at you. We can't judge on anything else but what he does for us. And it's subpar. That's the point.
I called it from the beginning. He's been lazy, doesn't track his players. And everyone was telling me, no, I think it'll come. I called it from like the first 2 weeks of the season. You could go back in the podcast and watch me say it.
It's not even
It's
about
laziness.
right or wrong. It's literally we have a problem in identity, consistency, energy, drive, like all this, the fight. This is going against it. It's counterproductive. And this guy, the scary thing about this whole thing is what it says about Allegri, because Allegri handpicked this guy.
And keeps playing him.
Are we surprised?
God knows why. I mean,
What
that's
was he
just
looking for?
choice.
His
I don't know.
his
I
highlight this
watched
season
this
is kicking
guy a lot.
Tonali, guys.
Now, Omar,
That's his highlight.
get your point in here. What are you saying?
Allegri's choice, like based on what? He was a subpar player at Roma, at Zenit, and at Paris Saint-Germain. He was never a starter there, and it's easier to play for a club like that controls 90% of the match. So I don't know. I've said it before. Like, if someone can explain to me, a lot of people told me at the beginning of the season when I said it's a horrible transfer and I don't want to see him. Told me, yeah, you don't know ball. He's gonna be great for you, but better than Locatelli.
Oh, Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Prove it. Show me some YouTube compilation that should make it work, right?
Show me
Now-
what his mom put together.
I'm not trying to we're not trying to overhype Locatelli by any means or anything like that, but I think he's hard done by on the fan base, because at least at the like I said on the watch along,
He does.
there's a big
work.
difference there just in terms of effort. The one thing with Loca, does he have bad games? Of course, he's human.
But he
But the one thing you can bank on is that on any given day that he's in the lineup, he'll give you 120% of what he has. Some days it's not up to the standard we would like, but at least it's everything he has. And you can see it come through. That needs to be the standard right across the board.
Omar, I got a
Because
question
I
for
will
you.
accept poor execution, whatnot, if you're working your friggin' ass off. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. One last thing.
Omar, you got one more?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to blame the players because they look mentally broken. I mean, the entire team looked mentally broken, and that's what a 15-point deduction will do to you. So, if you are already mentally broken and you know you're going on the pitch to defend for most of the match because that's the manager's strategy, you're going to lose. Like, the players look exhausted, deflated, like they don't want to be there. So it's hard to pinpoint like all the players and said, yeah, they were bad, because
Yeah.
They
And
were
on
bad.
Omer's point,
Now, with
go ahead.
this, sorry, Lex, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it's so hard to play in that type of system. Like, I think that's like understated. Like, just like
Exhausting.
as
It's
a player.
draining.
It's so
Just
draining to
attacking.
go out and defend and be disorganized. Like, we're frustrated watching. Like, imagine playing that.
Yeah, exactly.
To Dell's point here, I do agree that
Yes.
both do suffer to some of Allegri's ideas. However, suffering and effort are completely different. Suffering from, tactics or lack thereof, whatnot, is different than like work rate and actual effort. That's the difference that I'm trying to speak to here and what I see in those guys. But I do agree, and the reason is we highlighted it on Monza's second goal. You can't be sending Metsalas to create space. When on earth have you seen that position to try and create the space? It's wild to me. Yeah, anyways, just how we use our players in general. There's a lot of work to be done. Now, I want to shift because I saw some of you disagreeing with me. Luca was disagreeing with me. Should Paul Pogba have been pulled into this game? We're going to start going around the horn just by a simple yes or no, and then we're going to dive into this. So, Luca, should Paul Pogba have come into this game? You
Look,
shift your head.
if it was a
no
halftime
earlier.
switch, if it was a halftime sub, I would have said yes. If it was like around the 75th where Dusan came in, no.
Well, we
That's-
used our 5 subs, so it would have been, impossible.
Well-
Lex, yes or no, should Paul Pogba have come in?
Oh man, that's tough. I think
Yes or no?
I'm gonna say no, but I think that if we were having a better game, I think we would have seen him.
Omar, should Paul Pogba have come into this game?
100% yes.
I'm saying yes too, and now we can dive into it.
You don't bring
Who
him
wants to
in
kick us off
for.
as to why they think yes and why they think no.
Yeah, you guys
I'll
start.
kick us off.
Yeah.
Like,
You
He's
watch this
not
game.
known.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Al.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I.
Figure it out, boys. Figure it out.
I'll. I will.
As an Omar.
Okay. Like, he's not known for his defensive prowess, and we're not looking to defend anything. We already conceded. You need someone who's better at creating chances, maybe shooting outside the box, which is the way we play. Like, what? Why not? I mean, I want to hear one of the arguments to why not. We're already losing. We need him
I
as
can
soon
give
as
you a reason when
possible.
we get there.
Okay, go ahead.
Let
Well-
Al go first, though.
Go ahead,
What?
Luca.
No. Let Al. You guys put your reasons for, and then we'll say why not.
Here's my reasoning, real cut and dry and super easy. You can watch this game and see Monza knew. Okay, when you have a week between matches, it's pretty easy to watch tape and figure out. If you don't need a week, you need an hour to watch Juve and figure out what we're gonna do. That's play up the flanks. Our flanks were dead ends, complete dead ends. You need to play in the middle to start keeping Monza honest and try to create space for those runs on the flanks or whatnot. Our guys in the middle, we talked about it earlier. What did everybody agree on at the start? Rabiot played like crap. Paredes was non-existent. Fagioli was struggling because his right side of Gatti and DeCilio was not moving. This is another problem I have with this team, is that because of lack of structure, lack of planning, everybody puts the ball, like a guy gets the ball and everybody else watches him. Now, Danilo struggled yesterday, but I will give him credit because he engaged and he came forward. He tried to give options and whatnot. When he got into attacking scenarios, his passes went all wrong, but he was willing to do that, make the effort, put the runs in. Nobody else was doing it. I saw Fagioli get the ball probably about 8 times and have 0 options
You have
of
to look
guys
back at
to
one
go
point
with
on a
it.
counter.
Our
Turn
off
back
the ball movement was piss poor. Okay.
It is
And all those guys
fucking
struggled for it. Paul Pogba. Okay. Your outsides are dead. You've got 2 out of 3 of your midfielders that are having a tough time and don't have the technical ability as him. He 100% could have helped a little bit. If anything, it's a big piece that Monza has to focus on, and maybe that helps a guy like Kostic get space. Or if he plays the other side, it helps your other wing. If Sule came in at the second half with Pogba, it helps him get some more space. It would have only helped. Would it have been enough to make the difference? No, we saw us throw everything else and the kitchen sink, but it doesn't make it right, because it still shows that we are stubborn in a sense that we only want to go up the flanks. If your flanks are dead, complete dead ends, because Monza has completely blocked them off, what difference does it make if you change Kostic and you put Illing Jr. in? It makes no difference just changing the players. You need to adapt to the game in front of you and change what you're doing. Pogba would have been a sign to change what we wanted to do. And that's why I say, yes, he should have been brought in, because at least it would have been a point for us to go through. Just simply changing players on the outside and trying to do the same thing, it helped in a sense that we picked up the pressure. But even if you did that and you had Pogba, that the pressure should have been ramped up no matter what. But you get Pogba in there too, I think he needed to play. If he's only good for 25, 30 minutes, he should have played those 30 minutes. But that's just me. Now you guys go with why not.
Legs.
Luca?
Before we kick off, I want to know, Omar, Bert, where would you guys have played him in that formation? If you know what the formation was in the second half.
Di Maria out because he moved to a 4-2-3-1,
Okay, fair.
basically. So in the
Yeah, that makes
center,
sense.
above the midfielders.
Bert,
Who would I have taken off?
who would you have taken off? Yeah, where would you put Pogba?
I probably, based on yesterday's game, I agreed with Locatelli coming in. I would have probably left Fagioli, to be honest, and I probably would have taken Rabiot off and put Pogba there.
Okay,
And I would have had Pogba, Luca, Fagioli, and pressed them and just went
that's a
after
good
it.
shout. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say that because he made those subs at halftime.
Yeah,
so...
I don't think he would have came in at halftime. I think 45 minutes would have been too long for Paul.
Well, you didn't ask me
Yeah.
what Max would have done. You asked me what I would have done. So if he was good for 30 minutes, I pull him off at 30 minutes after he comes in right at half. If Pogba can only go 70 to 75th, but I let him be the judge of that. But I'm sorry, I would try and change. Another fun fact, Palladino from Monza, I think it was only a few games ago, got his starting lineup wrong. Didn't like what he was doing. He made 3 changes like quick in that game. 2, I think, at least really quick in that first half because he didn't like what was going on. Okay? Max Allegri, I think, is getting stubborn with not adapting the game and just in general.
He's
but
old school in that way.
He
won't
did
change.
try 4-4-2. He tried a 3-4-3. I'll give him that in the second half and whatnot. But the pressure. Remember that Napoli game? I know it's tough you don't want to recall it, but remember when we started putting them under and giving them pressure and giving them fits, and then we came out in the second half and none of that was there again? Probably because we got scared of their counterattacking and stuff like that. But we got absolutely nothing done without putting pressure. Like Max is going to have to realize that you got to go for broke. You got to go for broke when you're lacking in the technical ability overall from the group. And that lineup that he started with was lacking some of that. And you got to make up for that with pressure and force the other team to make mistakes. That's how I feel. But you guys, why no Pogba?
Please
Why
defend.
no Pogba? Why no Pogba?
Luca, want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm waiting for this argument. Let's go.
I agree with you, Al, in terms of like that ideal midfield. I would have taken Rabiot off at some point. I just more so said because of like the changes he had made at halftime that I didn't see afterwards where Pogba could have gone in terms of like that late into the match after he'd already made those changes. That was kind of more my idea, especially because then we ended up being short a player after because we used all of our subs and then Milik got hurt. But also we haven't seen him, so it's also hard to know what Pogba we're basing this game-changing ability off of. We only saw him for 30 minutes in that game preseason match, and just in terms of before and his inconsistencies earlier. So that was kind of where I was coming from. I'm not sure he would have made a huge difference. Maybe I'm wrong. Luca, what was your thoughts?
No, my thoughts are based off, again, the halftime subs.
Yeah.
I think, you could take off Rabiot, but personally, I would never put Vlahovic on. I feel like the way we were playing, which was just throwing it into the box, hoping for God to score. I mean, Milik was there. Did we still have Keenan? No, we had Milik there, and we had Di Maria and Sule both there. I think Vlahovic was not the best choice. Of the two, I preferred that Pogba would have came in. But I don't think it was worth it simply, Al, because I didn't know what the strategy was. And putting Paul in would not have, like you said, it wouldn't have won us the game, and it would have made him look much worse. And the initial, thought of every fan in the world would have been, he's not what we thought he was. Everyone's going to rag on him. It's going to be the focal point of the game. Is going to be, Paul Pogba played like shit. I think the game was already lost when Max started that 11. Changing it too late was obviously too late.
No.
And I still think that Pogba would have made a difference, but it wouldn't have been worth it. So then why do it?
You're playing 2 strikers is exactly what I'm talking about. Max wants to load the box up with crosses.
He had 1 striker on.
That we get to it. The problem is you're 2-0 down, Max, which makes even more sense for a guy like Pogba. Monza is going to sit back, and they're going to absorb. They're banking on you to cross in. Who wants to shoot? What were we doing? Shooting from range. Who's got a good shot from range? Holy shit.
Di Maria took a beautiful one and got
in the middle. Paul Pogba. Who can beat guys 1v1? I think maybe Paul Pogba. Can Rabiot do all of that? Not so much. But Rabiot, to his credit, got 1 opportunity off a flick on from Milik off a set piece. Congratulations. Paul Pogba should have seen the pitch, in my stance. Now, let's get to Adrien Rabiot.
Can I go first, please, this time? Rather than going last.
Has it run out for Rabiot? Does he now know that the contract extension is not coming? And is that why is this the Rabiot we're going to see from here on out for the season? What do you guys think?
Luca, you wanted to go first.
There's nothing to say, guys. We all agree. Ship him out now. He should have been gone last week.
I don't agree. You don't make up my mind.
No. I would say he instantly became better. He instantly became better than what we saw.
Yes. Put it back.
And
It's too weird. Put it back.
and he could have just as easily, come back to being the Rabiot we remember from the past 3 seasons.
What's
It's driving
happening?
me crazy.
Oh,
Okay,
now I'm in the bottom right.
that's fine.
I want Luca as far
Yeah.
away from me as possible, Lex. That's why I'm doing it.
You know
Oh,
the distance is
okay.
still the
Makes
same,
sense.
right? The distance is still.
Anyway,
I was just
Uh,
thinking more.
yeah, he instantly became better because there was a World Cup on the horizon and he wanted to play. And the minute the World Cup ended, he shut off and went back to being the regular Adrian Rabiot. It's not surprising. I said it in previous podcast. Be careful with his legs. You can talk. I don't want to.
Say it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. You're about to
Lex. Come
explode.
on.
I
It's
don't
all
want
you.
to
I
do
was just
it
gonna
like-
say, what did we say? Like, we literally said World Cup year plus contract extension year equals Rabiot prime for 4 months. That somehow people
But
want
isn't
to
that
pay him
so
10 million.
frustrating?
for.
I think
Like-
people, just everything in general. I see a comment here about you don't pop someone in to hit long shots. This isn't basketball or whatnot. No, it's obviously Paul Pogba does much more than shoot
said
from
that?
range. It's just an example that he could do everything
Ali,
that our
you're a
midfielders
genius.
can't do. That's the point. He could do it all. Now, Rabiot, you don't judge anything. Remember what we were saying when all this was coming up is wait until season's end. Okay? Like he's gonna go anyways, but this puts
starts.
Max in another pickle because here's a guy that he banks on, that he's loved, whatever. We saw the rumors of Juve trying to make some type of move for him and offer the highest that they could to keep him. But if it's going to be like this, then man, Max is going to have a much bigger problem. And now we got to look at the reality of the situation with these points deduction, potentially more. Like we need to win out. And if, the performance is going to be like that because this guy's already checked out, Max has yet another issue to deal with amongst a host of other ones that we see when we watch this team put out performances like that. So this is a dangerous thing, but I never judge a player off like a couple games or at this season as a whole right now. Still, if you look at Rabiot, still as a whole, as a body of work, it's still a good showing, but it could go horribly wrong from here on out to season's end. And it is a concern. I think we would be wrong in saying that we should not be concerned about Rabiot and starting all the time here on out for the season because he could be checked out. But again, he's also still trying to get a big contract for that next team. So I don't think we base everything off this showing on Monza, especially when you look at the fact that the whole team largely was poor. Kostic needs to start picking things up too, because even if his wing was dead, you've got to find ways to try and impact. Did you notice that Illing Jr., when he came in, started to try and make moves inside, away from where they were blocking him dead on the flanks? Things like that, little things like that, trying to get involved. But
yeah, I will give them, some sort of lifeline here. The World
Okay.
Cup in the middle of the season is horrible, and
players.
Juve are not the only team affected by it. There are a lot of teams where just the players haven't come back yet. And obviously, the guys we had in the World Cup haven't came back yet. It's Rabiot, it's Kostic, it's Vlahovic, who
Di Maria looks better now than he did before the World Cup. I wouldn't say.
because he's a good player. That's
He's good. I love
yeah,
him.
but yeah, he's a good player. He does what he does best. But it's still the amount of players we play out of position every game is, no wonder.
No wonder.
Stuff doesn't work. No one knows where to be. Like our players that we have now available don't suit the system we have.
Yeah.
And we keep forcing them. Although there are guys on the bench who
4-3-3.
can play those roles.
Change the
We
formation.
have guys on the bench. Danilo is great. He won't be great at any position on the field. You can't shift him every match to wherever you have someone missing.
all right,
Ugani did fine. Play him.
We-
and see.
Yeah.
we got still a couple big podcasts here. Okay, we still got some big
Let's-
topics for the podcast here.
Let's hit from the barn.
Allegri, do you cut the cord now? Everybody's been
Financially,
talking
no.
about this almost the whole show in the chat
Quick,
too.
Yeah.
so
quick
it's like,
answer. Quick
you
answer.
cut the
guys.
cord right now.
Yes.
Financially, no.
Lex says
Tactically,
yes. So we do have a yes.
Oh, fuck Lex. Now she has to explain why.
The cord should have been cut back when we originally lost to Monza.
Well, the question is now, not last game. Talking about now, Lex. Talking about now.
Okay,
Yes.
let's hear her out here. We got a few yeses in the live chat too. So Lex, elaborate please as to why you think right now.
I think ideally he should resign. Would it happen? I don't think so. I
Too
think
much of an ego.
that especially if we get knocked out of the Coppa Italia, and then eventually, which with the way we've been playing, we'll see. You don't know yet, but most likely could be the Europa League. But if we're out of both those competitions and the season's a wash, then I say why not start building towards next season? That's
Okay.
kind of my train of thought.
So as it's gone on the live chat, yeah, there is a lot of yeses.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, so there's
is
a lot
also
saying
probably
right
due.
now, cut the cord. My question to them would be,
Who do you bring in?
why make a coaching change when you have no management team in place? And
Yeah,
then
we
you're
have no SD
potentially
right
going to
now,
make
right?
a change yet again?
We can't.
And you're still putting the players and you're still portraying this whole. So you have to think about perspectives from players that could potentially be coming in the future and whatnot. For me, as far as this season goes, and with all the uncertainty and whatnot, this is Max's mess. And not mess through his doing or whatnot, but as far as the team and the performance go, he rides this thing out until season's end. You get a new management team in, you start fresh from everything, and then it also looks and appears better from a potential future players aspect. Because if I'm on the outside looking in, it's like, okay, they've made another coaching change. So now Max is gone. There's like a temp in, but they have no management team. And then is there going to be another change when the new management team comes in? The whole thing looks like a mess. Not only that, but he goes now, who do you bring in? Who's going to come right now at this point in time? It's going to be an interim manager. Who are we going to get as an interim manager? Are we going to Landucci's too closely knit to what's going on now? It's almost like making no change.
No.
What? I think we have to ride it out, everybody.
I think we have to ride it out financially. Look, it doesn't look like we're going to make Europe anyway next season if the results keep, being like that. So that would make his contract reportedly void, and we can just fire him when the season ends without any financial ramifications.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So
that's a very good point.
Firing him now, we still have to pay him a lot of money. We did it with Sarri, and it affected us massively.
The fees to release him now come close to 70 million euros.
That's
disgusting. Tons of money.
It's over 60 million, everybody. That's massive. Like to do that
we
now.
don't have money as it is.
We're already broke.
Like there's a lot of aspects to look at here. It's not so simple, right? Like this is a problem. This is a big problem, especially now with the points deduction, because shit, if another one hits, you've got to stay in Serie A. Like you've got to stay in Serie A. So winning is crucial.
I think initial reaction, obviously, yes. Financial, no, doesn't make sense. And I also think that the problem was just started when we walked back into it originally with rehiring him after we had fired him in 2019, but we all know that situation.
We can only hope he would just resign. That's our only lifeline.
Fingers crossed.
Ideal.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and this is a mess. Like, I mean, I would love to make a change if there was more certainty and it was easier to maneuver, and there was a prime candidate that is ready, willing, and able to just come in and step into this.
Too late now.
But you're going to go through so many changes already in the offseason naturally. Like, we've got to get through this season, everybody. We've got to get through this season, and we don't even have a management team yet. So we're bringing in another guy. You want to interim one? Montero, that's cool. If you speak with Montero and you say, okay, you know what? We just want you to come up, see us through to summers. But is that going to be a guarantee that all of a sudden we win out and protect ourselves? No. The truth is no. So it's this real battle between two minds because we went full circle. We went from a point where we were comfortable. We got points deducted and it's brutal, but we were in a position where it's like, okay, we can ride this thing out. Only now with this massive pressure of the point deduction and everything, has it become this thing where it's
Mhm.
like, again, has to happen right this second? If we didn't suffer that point deduction, we still could have been comfortable riding this thing out and then moving forward in the future after all these guys leave the roster. We could do some cleanup because the roster cannot be excused. It's got some major, major gaps and breaks in that thing all along the place. I want to ask you guys, because I saw a lot of this coming out yesterday, protecting the team, saying that this point deduction is another reason why we're seeing all that. If anything, it's more for me. It's more for them to come out and play harder, play stronger, play more determined. So I don't like to use that as an excuse. That's just me. How do you guys feel about that statement?
Completely
I've
agree.
answered it.
Shout out to two
Omar.
people.
Omar's good. We got Omar's answer. Lex, go.
Two mentions that I saw. One from Calcio Andrea, who mentioned in 06 the players went down to Serie B, stayed, fought, dominated, and won. Number two was from Marcella, who mentioned that the stadium was full. The fans showed up and showed that loyalty, and then we put out that performance for the fans. Like, I just think it comes to the point where, can it impact? Yes, I think it obviously does. You got 15 hard-earned points taken away from you in the season. But I think, just as Al mentioned, that's not an excuse. That's not a reason. These are still problems we were seeing before the deduction. Plus, I think that you just have to use that as fuel to come out even stronger as a group.
Name and shame.
Oh, man.
Personally, I like Di Maria said at the end of the game yesterday, you're as a player, you're bleeding, you're sweating, you're getting all these points, and for them to get deducted for something you didn't do, they're human. Don't forget. I understand that aspect. What frustrates me is that this team was already a fragile mentality before the season started. We saw it at the beginning. And Max is not your rah, like Conte style who will get you guys wanting blood. No, he's a tactician if you want to call him that.
That's half correct.
Right. So he's not going to pump these guys up and want them to get blood. And you know what? Even with a full stadium, clearly these guys were not motivated because he's telling them, guys, I know the energy's high, sit back. What type of player hears that and says, oh yeah, I'm thrilled to do this for 90 minutes? Like, he's not the type of coach to and he doesn't have the players to do that too. I just don't see the connection. Like, I get why these guys look drained. I think it ties the whole situation. If this is another coach, if this was different players, okay. But Max with these players in this scenario, I find it just a terrible.
I'm questioning everything about Max, to be honest. Like, even calling him like a tactician or whatnot. If we have a week, and you played Monza 2 weeks ago,
that's
you played him a week and a half ago in a Coppa Italia match, to not know how they were going to be set up, what they were going to do. Monza came into this match knowing exactly what Juve was going to do, and they shut down the flanks. So if you're
it's
this
hard to call him that.
master tactician, whatever, and you're going to figure all this out, you're going to have another plan. You're going to know what to do. All he did was change players. Like, he changed players. He went, okay, well, now we're going to do 4-4-2 because that never worked for us previously, but we're going to do that.
Yeah, no, but
What?
I don't even know what to call Max anymore. Like, what is he as a coach?
You spent the time we were struggling, okay? And this is where I really get pissed off. You spent the time we were struggling bitching about, I'm going studs up on Max right now. Spent this time bitching about the fact you didn't have Di Maria, you didn't have Pogba, you didn't have this, you didn't have that. Guess what? You had the motherfucker on your bench. He was ready, willing, able to help. He was pissed. You could see it on his face that he didn't get in there, and you chose not to use him. And you know what? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Juve played this game backwards, went in half-assed at the first half, played it all wrong, and they got punished for it. Second half, too little, too late, Max, and you can't teach old dogs new tricks. So, hey, the only problem is trying to do it right now. That's a lot of chicoria with the 60 plus million that it would cost us. So everybody, I think we need to wait and ride it out. I'm sorry. Everybody, reminder, like the video. Okay, like the video. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. All right, we're going to get to Storm the Barn questions. So now's your chance to get your Storm the Barn questions in. I'm going to kick this one off just asking you guys right now, is it time to change setups? Is everything that we once knew lost in terms of the 3-5-1-1. The defensive stability is completely gone. Another reason I'm pissed off with Max. You're supposed to be the defensive guy, and now even that is shambles. So do we switch? Do we make that switch now? What would you like to see? And everybody else, start getting your Storm the Barn questions in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the switch. Absolutely.
Yeah. We Omar and I said this, I think, after the last Monza game. Switch.
From day one of the season, I'm saying it. 4-3-3, that's the way. 3-5-2 is
lineup?
nice. It's something nice to have in your arsenal, but you can't bank on it. Obviously, it worked for a short while, and then it all went to shit. Like, we conceded how many? 10 goals now? 11 goals in 4
10
matches?
in 3 games.
Luckily, Milan did worse, but,
We're not in second place anymore, so what does it matter what Milan did?
it doesn't matter. It's just, the stats. But tell me if this sounds familiar.
Uh-oh.
Start the game defensively, concede, try to attack, maybe get a goal, maybe not. Throw in all your attacking players available on the bench completely lose formation, and eventually either lose or draw. Have you ever seen this before?
Sounds familiar.
Never.
Never. First time, right?
No. It's a new concept. Lex, do we switch? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think it's been proven that we should switch. I think that we lost that solidity that we had. We've been saying this for so long, but like, if defense, which I think we are missing a center back, we need another center back. And so if our back line is going to be weak, then why not focus where our strengths lie, which is our attack? I don't have any problems with our attack. That's where our numbers are. Like, play that front three and attack. Like, I just think that's what this team is built for. That's what we need to move towards.
Yeah.
Like,
Bert,
why play that weird 3-5-1-1 all because, we don't have fullbacks? Well, like, I don't know, maybe explore converting Illing. Like, try and make something else work, Like, he's only 19, he's young.
So let's say, hypothetically, we want to switch.
Mark, Alex Juve asked you to tell us his back four. So mark it. We'll get to it in the Storm the Barn question.
Yeah, we'll get to STV.
Yeah.
Bert, what do you think? Do we switch? I know it was your question, but what do you think?
I think we owe it to ourselves to switch and try it. I think what's been happening right now is whatever Max knows and believes to know, it's not working. Another problem we have right now is the fact that we've had to overcome so much just to get that first big turnaround that we did accomplish. But to do it again now is a tough ask. I feel like this season, with how much has happened, even if you were a great motivator, even if you were one of these rah guys, it's hard to do that continuously through the same season, to continuously have to pick the guys up. And this is why the roster is not free and clear, and they have to take some of this blame, because at the end of the day, too, your pride's on the line as an individual, and you have to go out there. You have to know what it's about to don the stripes, and you have to bring your best performance out there. So it's a combination of a lot of things, but to try and issue 2 big turnarounds like that all in the same season, even
tough.
That's too tough. So we have no choice but to really try something new and try getting the players out there that are, and you know what, that should happen regardless. Even if he stays in the same setup, the players that are rewarding you with the effort, the maximum effort and whatnot, need to be rewarded from here on out, because I think that's half the battle. And I said that earlier on in the season. The laziness needs to go away, and it needs to take a back seat to the guys that are at least going to go out there and at bare minimum give it everything they have. My back four.
We're jumping into it. I know exactly what I'm putting. It's locked in now.
Man,
I would surprise you with my back four.
Oh, I might have the same one as you.
No, you won't.
I think what's going to start questioning everybody is a discussion that started about Illing Jr. potentially playing as this left back and whatnot, or even Kostic and whatnot. For me, it gets really dicey there, because maybe Barbieri needs to start giving an opportunity and whatnot. So maybe one young guy on the outside. I don't know about Danilo in a center back if it's not a back three, and that's a tough one.
Bert, spit him out. We got it.
I don't know. I
don't know?
honestly
Oh,
don't
dang.
know, and this is a
Tough.
problem because if any formation that you have, I think you're gonna have gaps, and this is one of them in a back four because Bonucci can't be trusted. I wouldn't play Gatti in a two-man. I don't know.
But
I honestly don't know.
I still think
I need
know.
time. I need time.
Three
Let's
man
go
mid,
then, Omer.
three in the attack and 3-man mid would be. I think that would be strong enough. I think if you have to concede somewhere in your formation, I think I would concede weaknesses in a back four, in my opinion.
We have
Yeah,
to see
but
it.
who's the back four? I'm saying that there's going to be sacrifices
Omar, you wanna
across the
say
board on
yours?
their back four.
Let's
Omar,
go.
who's the
Okay.
back four?
Okay.
Let's hear it. Come on.
Danilo at right back,
Okay.
Bremer,
Yeah.
Rugani,
Yeah.
and Ealing Jr.
I had the same one. I told you.
Who did you put on the left?
Illing.
Ealing Jr.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would go
I'm
with
with
that.
him.
I would try it.
A week ago, I would
So
have
you're
put
going to
Gatti,
put
but
a newly formed youngster, Ealing Jr., and you're going to put Rugani as his fail stop next to him on the left because he's been reliable over the past year and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
hate
question mark, though. That's what I'm saying. There's big
But
question marks
it's
across all
that,
your
or you
back
put
fours.
Sandro. So like,
I would
I'm
give it a try.
I respect Rugani being reliable over the past year. I'm not ready for him to be the main.
I don't know if the main, because we're having players injured in and out all the time, but
yeah,
so far, aside from Bremer, who had more mistakes because he plays much more, Rugani has been the most consistent out of all our
'cause he
center
plays
backs.
less.
Yeah, so
I-
why
it's
not
touchy.
try? And
Yeah.
that's like,
We should have done
That's
that
the way.
yesterday, but because now Lazio's coming,
It's
we
tough,
can't test
man.
this
It's
out.
tough. Our fullback things come up. If Quadrado's available, I think the 4-man becomes easier to maneuver. Your back four
Forgot
because
about that dumbass.
Quad's got to come back and he's got to play right back because his defensive abilities help. It's offensively where he struggles, but until Quad gets back in, I think there's bigger question marks. I think it's a little easier to handle when he comes back, but I don't know. We're gonna have either, I think, a shortcoming directly as one of your center backs in the pairing or on one of the flanks, and
both, yeah.
potentially even with everybody at the flanks. Our fullbacks, hey, we've been screaming for them for a while. That's tough though. But I think we owe it to ourselves to at least try something. So I'm willing to at least see it. So
Willing to
let's
see
see it.
Illing.
Let's get to some Storm the Barn questions. Oh, RB Comps wants to lighten the mood. Who's the best FIFA player out of the panel? Right here. Right here.
I don't play FIFA.
Right here. Okay.
I get on the pitch twice a
Come
week.
on.
I don't play it virtually. Thanks, guys. Move on.
come on,
We're
how
gonna
many
end up
Champions League of
having
one
to see
we
this,
do, man?
aren't we? We're gonna have to
I'd like to
live
see
stream.
Al and Omar play each other. Actually,
I've been waiting for that AJC.
We're gonna
friendly
have
just
to
see
live
Al.
stream that one, Omar. I think.
Yeah.
I'm
I think
in.
we might
I'm
have
in.
to.
Yeah. For now, though, I'll just let you all know it's me until you see it. So
No matter what question you ask, it's Al the answer. It's clear as day.
Conte's Juve made Allegri's career. Wow.
But that's like saying
Wow. I don't think that's necessarily fair, but I think he definitely sparked what Allegri had to move forward with and whatnot. But I don't think we should take all the credit away from Allegri's first tenure. So
Plus
I'm
the
just going to
BBC.
leave it at that. What do you guys have to add?
Plus
No,
BBC.
What?
Plus the BBC.
yeah, like
BBBC.
Omar,
BBC.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, expecting all these guys to come in and just 3-5-2 be as good as Barzali and Chiellini and Buffon. I mean, that's a
Never gonna
discredit to those guys. These
Exactly.
guys are
It's an
once in a
insult.
lifetime. It's not guys that come around like every time. It's just a system thing. So Conte did set the blueprint. I will remind you, the league was completely different. The competition was maybe with one more team every season, either Roma or Napoli. The other guys didn't give any competition. And so when you have the blueprint and just, play, and you have the luxury of bringing in all the talent, and you have money to bring in guys like Higuain or Mandzukic or whoever to, just slot them in and have a better team, that's easier than what Allegri is facing now. Credit to Conte. He got a broken team and made them champions. Allegri has yet to do it. So I would agree. Like Allegri based his success of what Conte has started, and I don't know if Allegri could have done it too.
Yeah. All right. All right. I don't think we have anything more to add to that whole thing.
No.
Let's go to the next one. Question for all. I wish you
Yes.
would have singled somebody out, Jeremiah.
Oh,
Just
I'll
been
answer
like,
that.
oh,
Yes.
just one question for one panelist here.
It's just for me.
Hypothetically
Yeah, it's
speaking,
clearly just for me.
with this same group of players, would they play better as a unit if,
Actually,
let's just say, De Zerbi was in charge? So,
Lex on my side here, I think.
I
She's been
think
pumping
yes,
this a
because I
while
mean
too.
he's doing it with Brighton. Does Brighton have a better squad than we do? He
Right.
did it with the Swallow.
Like,
I think Locatelli was fantastic under him as a Swallow. So I think yes, 100%. I think just coach with a strong footballing philosophy, preferably an attacking one. And I think yes, our squad and our unit as a whole is not that far off. I think it's not as far off as people think. Like we're not looking at a whole new rebuild. We're just looking at least another fullback, another center back, strengthen up the defense a bit, play with a coach that has a strong philosophy, and I think we're better. I think, yeah.
really hyping up this AJC FIFA tourney right now. But carry on with this coaching thing, everybody. Who
I
wants
say
to
yes.
add? I'll add.
Add to
I don't
me.
care.
I say yes.
Going?
Nothing more to say.
It's interesting. I mean, when we look at all these other coaches and would it potentially change as a unit, I think there would be other shortcomings. But I think what's more the question is you have a coach that apparently, Max, and this is what all the hype was about, is adapting to the players he has and finding like a system or whatever. But then you have coaches that know their setup, their system, what they're looking for, and they find roles and want their players within it to fit and mold and work with. So I think like if a coach comes in here that wants a 4-3-3 and has I still think we end up with some shortcomings in terms of certain positions. However, I think it might be easier for him to find solutions. And when you look at even Max right now, if we're going to try and set a comparison, this 3-5-1-1 whatever that we stumble upon and whatever, and we were saying for a while, look, this is the go-to. We have to work off of this because we're finding success. There was better balance in play between defense and finding opportunities and stuff. But we're starting to find that starting to integrate some of these guys like Di Maria, for instance, and whatnot, it may not be their best position. So it might not necessarily be plug and play. So he might be forced to change that. If another coach comes in that has a setup that we might be looking to go to anyways, yeah, I think we could say that he probably would do better. Not only that, but just the gameplay overall. Where we struggle the most is the fact that we allow other teams to play. So I fail to believe that if a manager comes in that wants to be on the front foot, that wants to control games, control play, I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't do better with our team. We have good ball retentive players in the middle. We have good attacking options. I fail to believe this is the Juve that we've amounted to, and it's not going to be any better just simply based on the roster. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I'll say that everything we say, every question about the future is just assumptions. I don't want anyone coming up to me and saying, "Hey, you said that, and now he's failing." So De Zerbi, I think, will do better, mainly because I think everyone just had enough of not conceding is more important than scoring. Go score a goal first, then worry about not conceding. And it's been, Juve's blueprint for a long, long time, but football has moved on. Look at finals and stuff, Champions League. How many games have ended with one goal? You need to know how to score more than one and then just defend. And
And
Allegri, at the meantime, doesn't offer it. Lex, before you explode, go on.
you have so many good ideas that you give me.
Can I
I was just
follow?
going to say, going off of what you were saying about football moving on, look at the teams that are first place in the top leagues. Arteta's Arsenal and the Premier League, Xavi's Barcelona, and Spalletti's Napoli in Italy. How do those teams play? I think that's
Amazing.
amazing football. So long as the idea that you can't also play great attacking football and win and be successful. Like those things can coexist, believe it or not.
Go
But
on,
I think
go on, Lex.
continue, Omar. Sorry to interrupt, but that's just what I wanted to mention.
No, that's it. Great attacking football, and I'm not expecting prime Barcelona tiki taka passing everywhere. Just press and make the other team make mistakes. That's something we're not doing, and they're doing to us all the time. And when you score early and when you take their air out before halftime, that's how you nullify them trying to score. You just get them frustrated, mentally weak. And right now, we are the guys who concede and then have all our air out.
Can I wrap this up?
The truth is that, you know what? There are teams that play defensive style that they can work and they can manage that if it suits them. And there are teams where it doesn't, and they're better off stepping on the front foot. It's up to all of yours, the live chat, you guys. It's up to you in terms of what you believe is best for this Juve team based on what they have. I think we've seen when we step things up, it's better for the group overall, and it helps our defense that all of a sudden is in shambles when you play on the front foot and make it harder for the other team to create. If you were the new Juve board, which manager would you shortlist to replace Allegri next season? Omar, who would you shortlist?
Let's go three each. I would shortlist Zidane because apparently he's all over the news that he wants Juve and interested. I'd probably go with one young manager from Italy, possibly Dionisi or Sotil or maybe someone else. And something out of nowhere like Jesse Marsh from Leeds. I like the way he plays, his style. Those will be my
That really is out
my
of
top
nowhere.
three.
Yeah. Luca, your short list.
I want to put the Zerbi on there, but because he just signed a contract, I feel like it's almost impossible. So if we're just being realistic, Zizou's at the top because of all the links and because I've always wanted him. Dionisi for me is a very good shout. And I mean, if really out there, bring up Montero. I think he's a cheap option for what we need right now, and he knows how this club needs to play. I think financially and what he is as a person, as a coach, is just a good fit. But he's like my last option of the three.
Okay, Lex.
So I'm gonna go with Zizou because same thing. He's successful, and he sounds like he's apparently rumored to want the job. Italiano,
why?
just because I have to stay loyal to my guy, so I'm
Still
gonna
alive?
still go Italiano. And then third gonna be Gallardo because as far as I'm aware, he still hasn't found a coaching job. So I mean, that I think was people were kind of on that hype train for a bit when he first announced he was leaving. So I think I'm gonna still stick with that. I think that would be a cool option.
All right. Yeah,
shout.
I have Gallardo in there. I have Zidane in there. Dionisi. I think we have to. As much as I wouldn't want it, because I hate trying to recreate the past. I think we would have to look at Conte.
Don't.
You would have to look at Conte. You
Oh,
would have to.
With the
Yeah,
new board,
I
I hope
agree
they
with
don't.
Conte, and I'll throw in even one more name. What's that guy's name? Roger Schmidt from Benfica.
Roger Schmidt. Okay.
Roger
To be
Schmidt
fair,
from Benfica.
I wanted De Cherby. I wanted De Cherby. At the time,
Yeah,
like
that
it
ship has sailed.
would have been a sweet move, I think, for Juve. However, again,
didn't
could have
want,
also gone horribly wrong. It's just preference, whatnot, and it is what it is. Michael Razzo comes in. We've got a room for just a couple more. Agnelli should pay our coach wages out of his pocket as punishment. I will say this: with the rumors of Agnelli and everything, potentially buying back, I don't want that to happen for the reason of where we're at currently, and just it happened under his watch. So I'm just going to say, in terms of it's not even a question, Michael Razzo, number one, storm the barns for questions. This is a statement you're making, but it is what it is. I actually wouldn't want Agnelli to buy this with a group or whatnot. Now, Razzo continues, and this is a question, a couple. Should we at the end see us scrap all these high-profile players who don't perform and focus on a young Italian team? Do we start letting our young players start now over our overpaid Shitters. Okay, so
Shitters.
um,
2 T's in that, by the way.
right now to finish off the season, like I said, the guys that are given, whether regardless of pay structure, you go based on what they're doing out on the pitch. So yeah, you reward the ones that are giving it everything they have. To change the mold completely moving forward and focus on young talents, I think we need to focus on Italian talent in general, based on what's happening with Mercado and everything like that. And I think Juve needs to continue to push with this Juve next gen thing, because these guys are so far giving us a decent run to those high paid players too. So just continue on as we are, but still have a focus on Italian talent. But I don't think we need to recreate everything. But I really question the scouting and all that in terms of the experienced guys we're bringing in. I think needs to be better. But again, that will come when we get an actual sporting director in, a new management team, and potentially a new coach. And hopefully they're all on the same page. But a sporting director is big for this team. We've had scouts that have been promoted for several years now, and this is where we are. So again, that's all I'm going to touch on for this. You guys go.
I have 2 questions for Storm the Barn for all of you.
You got to answer this one first, though, buddy.
Oh, I didn't read it. What to say? Sorry, I was lost in the comments. I was
that's it.
Everyone want Berto to coach. You need to see him play FIFA. You don't want him to coach.
Hey, I'll do it for half of Allegri's fee. Okay?
Smoke.
What?
Half of Allegri's fee. Okay,
just pay my rent and I.
Who am I kidding? Give me an 8. Whatever. It's good. It's good.
Pay my lodging.
Okay. If we do have a tournament like AGC FIFA tournament, is everyone picking Juve? Like, are we going to play Juve versus Juve all the time, or are we open to other stuff?
I feel like to make it even and see just skills, it should be the same players versus the same players.
I will. Okay, here's a
play.
question: when you're not Juve, who's your team of choice?
Okay.
Mine.
Okay,
I'll go first. Mine is usually, well, I have the older, unupdated FIFA, is Atalanta with Papu Gomez. And
That is an overpowered team. Yeah.
that is a key team.
wow, you played
I
FIFA in
That team made it to
2020.
like the quarterfinals of the Champions League, guys.
Omar,
Messed up.
who's your team of choice when it's not Juve?
I hate playing with big teams. That's my thing. I like the mediocre teams. I like the challenge.
That's a
I like
challenge.
playing
Omar
with,
coming in here with Bari.
No, not that
Whoa,
bad.
whoa.
When I played Football Manager, I take teams from Norway and assemble a 17-year-old team. That's what I like. But probably I like playing with Tottenham a lot.
Tottenham.
I like playing with Dortmund. I like Valencia.
You heard it here first. Tottenham is not a top team, according to Omar.
Well, they're not a top team right now, so
I know,
Juve.
it just kills me.
Yeah, so those are the type of teams I like to play with. I won't choose Man City, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid. Those are not the teams I like to play with. It's fun, but it's too easy.
I used
And
to
my
play.
second
I only
question.
use Juve.
You only
My
use
second
Juve?
question.
No, next question. It's just fun.
Okay.
If I had to use a different team,
Never done it before.
I don't do it very often, but I like to go off the board, and I go usually Spanish teams if I'm going to not choose Juventus. So usually pick a
Yes.
Spanish side.
So
And
my second question is
go ahead.
more relevant to everyone. I offered on Twitter, like, if we can get Zaniolo just on a dry loan till the end of the season and see how it works out.
I saw that.
Would you? Yeah,
And I wanted to comment.
mixed reactions. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Would you take Zaniolo now till the end of the season?
The reality is, nobody wants him. And you know what? We're missing someone, I'd say almost that right wing, but it depends. If we're going to play this formation, no. But if we do shift to a 4-3-3 and it's like a tiny loan where with no redemption, and it's like we have everything to gain and nothing to lose, I'd be down for it. But I feel like Roma wouldn't let him go without an obligation in that clause.
there's potential there for a decent bargain with Zaniolo based on the breakdown. So I
We
think
have nothing to lose.
like, I mean, I'm just saying,
What?
like, there's potential for a big bar. it's funny with players because I always say this too, is like maybe just maybe how much that atmosphere and how much that like affects them and whatnot. And maybe this guy, but you still have the other side of it, which is his attitude and all
Yeah, I don't think
this
he wants us.
And
problems
that's
that have
why,
followed him with the Azzurri. And remember, Moise Keane was getting involved in the two of them. You know what? But if it's low risk, why wouldn't you if it's low risk?
yeah, and don't forget, Mourinho had issues with players in every club he coached, and players left because of it. Just 2 months ago, he threw Karsdorp under the bus, and now
Yeah.
it's Zaniolo. He had Casillas,
Well,
he had whoever.
Hold on.
He was
didn't
right about Dele Alli.
Yeah, he was right about it.
Yeah.
He didn't throw.
I'm not saying
Zaniolo.
you're always wrong.
Okay.
He didn't toss him under the bus. He asked to leave. He's been saying it for a month, apparently. So Mourinho is just saying the facts. He said
No,
his
he just
mentality
said
wasn't here.
no. He sent the dogs on him. He like made him look
After he
so
realized he
bad.
wasn't leaving anywhere.
Yeah, but you're a 60-year-old manager. That's a 20-year-old guy. Like you don't.
Yeah,
need to
it's
say
kind of, I don't know.
it's exaggerated. It's not
is,
wrong,
yeah.
but it's super exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's Mourinho.
I don't want to talk about Mourinho ever again on this podcast anyways. So here we go. How and where will we end up end of the season? This is the last question. I want to remind everybody to like the video. Okay, if you're new here, obviously subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone who's been in live chat today. You guys are amazing. The FIFA tournament, we're going to make it happen. And then I'll just prove to you all that I'm the best. And how will we end up at the end of the season? Any bold predictions? This is the final one. So who wants to kick us off on this one? And I don't mind doing it.
I don't know, guys. There's too many penalties coming our way.
Let's go like this.
Considering it all stays like that and no point or give it back or deducted more, I'd say 10th, 9th, maybe.
Yeah. So let's go like this. How likely do you think it is for Juve to have the points returning to us?
I think they'll give us back those points, but then deduct us again on the salary maneuver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm thinking we'll probably be somewhere around that 9th and whatnot. So yeah, it's probably going to be somewhere like that. Somewhere like that. Does anybody have any other predictions? Does anybody think something crazy going to happen? Do you think we're going to return all the points and then all of a sudden finish in that top three?
No. I don't see us top 6.
Does anybody want to say it just to leave on a good note, even if they don't believe it?
I don't see Italy becoming logical all of a sudden. I think it will just be the same. But let's say we do. I say 5th, 4th place. I know it's a huge mentality boost if we get those points back and don't get deducted again this season. It's a huge mentality boost. We could find ourselves on 3rd, 4th, 5th.
I think Juve could. The nice thing is at least knowing, based on everyone we talked to, Mirko Di Natale, Romeo Agresti, whatnot, the feeling around Juve is completely different. They will fight this till the bitter end. I have hope in that. And again, I have to research this as it's broke out today and whatnot. I want to see what this evidence is and everything like that. They have gone against precedent in Italy. I'm holding out hope that Juve fights this thing enough where we can overturn everything and finish somewhere in the European places. However, right now, if I was to bet on it, I think we would finish outside and probably close to that mid-table side, 10th, 9th, somewhere in there. Hopefully, it ends up differently. Everybody, you guys have been great. Like the video, subscribe. We've got some one last one. Should we make this happen? AJC Pro Clubs, Omar, should we do it?
We did it with Cliff, God rest his soul.
We did it with Cliff, old
God rest his soul.
Oh man, Cliff played me
once,
and I roasted him. Never played me again.
That's
okay?
true. That I remember.
So if either of you have ever played Cliff at FIFA, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Cliff is not good enough, but we have done it. It's nice. Like we can
Kid's
do
not
it.
even here. Just jump on him.
Good. Cliff.
I love Cliff.
Fired up. He was pretty fired up. What did I have to hear about all
guys.
the games so laggy and choppy and all this? And it's like,
it's
dude,
experience. You have to
maybe
play
you're just
FIFA
not
98.
good enough, bud.
Yeah,
You
have to play
FIFA
FIFA
man,
98.
you got to beat the man. Cliff wasn't the man.
I played
Omar,
98. That
we'll
was a
see.
great game.
Lex take down the tourney? We'll see, but we'll have fun. I'll start up an AJC Pro Clubs for
I'd
sure.
win.
Everybody, Guys have been great again. Thank you for all the support. We had a great time on the weekend, especially with Romeo Cresti on Friday, and then all the lives. Despite the result, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep things rolling into Coppa Italia against Lazio. We will bring you a match day live. I believe Anthony, the old man, will be back. He's the only guy I can call an old man on this panel, so I'm going to let it roll. Old man No Knees going to be rocking it with me for the Coppa Italia match, and no watch along because it's midweek, everybody. And yeah, I've got a job to do. So
I'll probably be there too. But
thank you as always, you
You're
guys
not the old man, Omar. Don't worry.
are awesome, and stick together. It's fino alla fine forever. All right. Ciao tutti. We'll talk to you before the midweek game, and I'll still bring you the daily updates. Okay. Ciao, everybody.
No mustache.